Good morning, everybody. It's Phil, the miniature model maker, coming to you again with another Gundam Artifact Let's Build. Today it is Phase 2, Model 10, the Assault Buster Gundam, V2 Assault Buster Gundam. This is a really cool kit, and we're getting it fresh out of the bag just to make sure that we have our part. Yeah, this kit I have already done twice. The first time just because I wanted to do it. The second time because I wanted to do it and have the torso. This time it's going to be on stream. So as much as I enjoy doing these streams, there are times when I just want to work on a kit by myself. And unfortunately, when I don't have duplicates, I can't really do that. But when I do have duplicates, I take advantage. And this is going to be the last duplicate for a while. So at least until Phase 5 shows up. And we're not sure when that will be. I talked to the people. Well, I probably said that last stream. But let me get my instructions because I did pull them out somewhere. Which box is it in? Let's do this. This is number 10, so probably in this box. So for those of you who are wondering what happens with the kits that I don't fully assemble during a stream, they go into one of these little guys here. So I can put, sometimes I can fit an entire kit in one of these. Sometimes it's two. But then they just go with the instructions in here and go back into the box where I can keep them steady. And the ones that do get assembled or mostly assembled go in here for now because they're going to be the subject of the detail builds, etc., the preparation for painting builds and streams and all that. So they get set aside. But now we've got our instructions, clear blank instructions. This one, and make sure when you open it, you take the body out. I almost did that again this time, expecting the body parts to be on the sprue, and it's not. But we again have 4 sprues, A, B, C, and D. Well, that's not labeled. That's C. This must be B. And D. So looking at what we've got, they're pretty good. Legs, wings, guns and shield with some arm. That's an arm part, and then the other torso and arm bits. We'll go over the instructions here for a second and see what sort of pain points we're going to have. This little guy right here is a kneecap that goes into the leg, so you need to make sure that when you assemble it, it does have that ditch, the little notch in place where it goes. This is not something you want to make a clip out of. Just stick it right in the leg and you're good to go. The gun, it's really thin and it can sometimes have trouble with gaps. So we'll keep an eye out for that. The arms are pretty well set. The head at part 7, part 5, those are still small parts, but they fit in pretty well. Actually, part 5, I just prep it and glue it just from the start. Even if you're doing a basic pre-detail, pre-cleaning assembly, clean that part well as if you're going to be done with it, and just put it in there once and for all, and don't mess with it again. 26 and 28, they're all right. They have a flat tab. They've got a tab instead of a peg, so they don't always fit great. I may leave them off. 37, 36, again, these little thrusters are always troublesome. But overall, this is a solid kit. It works really well. It has a ridiculous amount of detail. So definitely when you're building yours, make sure to do it in such a way where you can get as much part separation as possible to do your detail work. Like I would, like that's the half of the arm, and then this is the point that attaches to the arm, and this the shield attaches to that. I wouldn't even glue this on. I would make sure to get anything up on the arm done first, and this, and then attach it and get your shield taken care of, and then paint it and attach it. Or alternatively, you could just leave this completely done, do all your shield work, do all your work on this, attach it to that, and then glue it to the arm. One way or the other. And then part 36, we have a note down here that the tab goes out because that's what attaches to the thruster and goes in the back. Anything else that I remember? Yeah, these guns here on the sides. So that would be 29 and 27. They don't stick very well. They're a part to glue on. They just don't maintain attachment easily. So that's that. Let's go ahead and get started. And that's going to be left leg, so these can go off to the side. Off to the side. And here we are. We'll put that up there so we don't lose it. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Very nice of them to put them in order now. So 14, 15, and I didn't wash this. I should have. But my ultrasonic cleaner is full of paint stripper right now. 14, 15, 16, because I stripped the Rick Diaz. The Null Oil incident ruined the paint job for me. So I've got to redo it. 16, 17. So 17 and 19 are joined together, which was very considerate of them. So we know we have the correct one for the leg. And 18. All right, our kneecap here. Let's put you right there. And gonna have someone coming in to visit while they're doing adulting. Adulting sucks. I wish we could all just stay either retired or as kids. But adulting and cleaning and things does help us find parts. Speaking of, I just cleaned my floor and could not find that thruster from, what was it, the gym. So it's probably rolled up under a piece of furniture and will be gone forevermore. Hi, I got your message. Thank you. We just started the V2 Assault Buster Gundam, which is one of the cooler ones. Hope you have fun with your adulting. Please make sure to like the stream. I appreciate the views as well. But let people know that you like it when you pop in. Even if you don't, do it for your old friend. So I just cleaned my floor and could not find that part that that went flying the other day. It's probably underneath my desk where I won't ever be able to get it without getting the vacuum. And if I get the vacuum, it'll be lost. Uh-oh. You went away. All right. So working on this, this is one of the duplicates is my personal try-hard project. I've been thinking about what to do, and I can't really be spending the amount of time that I normally would to do things like super high level on stream, because I timed myself the other day just working on a leg, and so far it's been 6 hours on one half of one leg. But I'm doing that as if I were going to be entering it in GBWC. And I'm just curious how much time it really takes to get the highest level I can for a competition and display piece done. And it's going to be a while. But that makes me think, like, what are artifacts allowed in GBWC? I don't even know. And I know one of the people over in the Philippines that I watch, well, Nico, they require a receipt to be able to enter theirs into the GBWC competition. I'm wondering what the equivalent is here in the US. I think it's a bluefin ticket or something. How would I prove authenticity of one of these kits that has been on the shelf for years and no longer sold by the official Bandai store? Hopefully they've got some sort of provision for that. If not, I guess I'm going to have to buy a couple extra individuals from Phase 5 just to have a receipt to go with them. But I think it would be kind of neat to eventually enter one of these little artifacts into the local GBWC, and there are a few stores in the area that do offline competitions, so that'll be kind of fun to rock in with a tiny little box while everybody else has their gigantic big boxes and their dioramas and everything, and then plop a little artifact down. Like, yep, small boys go well too. So I am going to be having that in the docket eventually, whether it's with the Assault Buster I'm working on or if that's just going to be a fun personal project. The rest of these are going to be done to at least tabletop standard. Which for me means, at least fully base coated, probably edge highlighted, because these little guys do well with edge highlighting. But I may not scribe everything. Like on the personal one, I'm going through and rescribing every little detail and adding more lines where there aren't any, and doing the scribing slightly differently. So for things that are going to be going on the tabletop and won't be looked at really closely, generally, I do the rescribing a bit deeper and thicker on something that would be a competition piece. You want to maintain the sense of scale, so use a thinner scribe, 0.15 or 0.1 instead of a 0.15 or 0.2. Unless the thing that I'm working on is already at a 0.2 thickness, then I'll maintain that. Okay. Okay, so this reminds me. This part here, if you attach it to the leg, or when you attach it to the leg, it doesn't fit completely snugly. So you are going to want to, if I can get it better, trim this down a bit. And then also this, it kind of chucks up against the leg. So if you want a more flush fit, you'll need to trim these down or sand them down or whatever to get a good flush fit with the leg. And I would recommend using sandpaper for that, so you can do a little bit at a time without really worrying about getting getting too much off. All right, so there we go. Those are done. 18 and 18. This surface, it's got a mold line on it. So like I said earlier, go ahead and, well, that was for part 5. For the kneecaps as well, I would suggest treating them just as if you were about to do your final detail pass. Get them nice and smooth from the start, so you don't have to worry about them in the future. And I have found a lot of small imperfections in these things now that I'm looking for them, and not just kind of getting through with the kit to get it done. So make sure to be aware of that when you're doing your detail pass. You may require some depression, some, not gap filler, but sink filling. Okay, that's not the one. This is the one with the pegs. And I just cleaned up everything. Let's get my tools. Let's use the triangular file today. So the pegs on the leg are mostly structural, except for this one here. That's where your foot attaches. And this is a prime candidate for a C-clip. Because the way this sits, it's like right up against the foot. So you'd have a hard time painting without removing the foot. And this kit is so detailed, it deserves a high level of attention. I'll make sure to give it the attention it deserves. Okay, and we're going to just touch the foot peg, just a little bit. Okay. Now, part 18, the divot, as you can see in the instruction, goes on the bottom. And that's there to keep the kneecap properly aligned, but carefully on this. It's a fussy piece. And filing the peg down may make it even fussier. So we'll brush everything. Take it again. My goodness. And there's no specific orientation required on this, other than having the, goodness gracious, come on. Other than having the little divot down, it doesn't require anything special. All right, I'm going to concentrate on this for a moment. Where are my... Yeah, this is one of those frustrating pieces. Sand it down. Okay. Just make sure you don't blow it off the table. That would be a big fat bummer. Ba-doo-doo. I don't recall the other ones being this difficult. Okay, there we go. Now, turn, and don't come off. There we are. All right. Look at that. Beautiful. And the leg. But we're got to do the foot because we're not clipping it today. So we got to put the foot together. What do I recall about the foot? I think it's pretty good. I don't remember anything being especially troublesome about it. Just gotta bring the pegs down a little bit. Bring them down a peg. All right, there we go. Okay. So looking at it, the way it assembles, there are gaps. Definitely. And I don't know why, but it's especially bad up along here. But it is what it is. Just going to have to deal with it and fill it pretty liberally. For those of you who watch MadWorks videos with their black cyanoacrylate, how they really chunk that stuff in there, that's probably a good method on this foot. But you'll need to do a great deal of cleaning and scraping in some kind of tight areas. Okay. And now looking at that, the clip here fits into the back like so. There you are. And you see how close these parts are? So you're going to want to cut this off and like just cut this whole section here and this here, so you've got a straight push in. As far as making C-clips go, this is one of the more heavily modified ones, so take your time, be careful with it, and make sure you get it done right. So there we go. There's our leg. Still gaps, lovely, but it's not as bad. I'm not really taking a whole lot of time to make sure that it's as good as it can be before assembling it. Now we have our shield part here. This section fits up in this notch right here. Let's see if that's a little bit more easy to see. Well, there's not, but there's a dent right here that this fits into. And this slot part goes in that hole. Pretty straightforward. Oh, that one fit actually pretty nicely compared to the other one. Lucky dog. So there's that leg. It's a lovely leg. If you want to be really, really, really super duper nitpicky, I could see a reason here, these gaps, to make a C-clip for the kneecap, and then just glue it in. There could be an argument made that having that out while building the leg so you get all your seams taken care of and then putting it in would be good. Yes, you can also paint down in there and make it whatever color you want. Possibly make it easier to paint the kneecap. Maybe I'll try that when I do this one. We'll compare that to how I'm doing the other one. See how that goes. And for those of you in the future watching this, tell me, what do you think of the level of detail that I'm going into with all of these descriptions and pointers and things? When you do an artifact, are you doing yours to the level that you do your scale kits at? Or is this just kind of like meh? It's a mini, cheapo mini. I'm just kind of busting through it to have a little something cute on my table. And are all these tips and things annoying? I kind of would think that if you're getting through to half an hour into this stream, you might be the kind of person who likes these sorts of pointers and tips and tricks and stuff. But let me know. I'm gonna keep doing it. This is the kind of content I want to make. But I do also want to know what people think of it. And maybe in the future with other streams, I might do things a little bit differently. Because the way I see it, these kits are every bit as involved as the scale kits, and they may not have as many parts, but the level of attention that you've got to give them, level of detail you've got to give them, seems equivalent to me. And they're, in my opinion, certainly worthy of the level of attention given a scale model. And it just which side do I want to use? Just in a slightly different way. Now, I've seen people doing videos of these, and they're cutting their kit up into different segments so they can increase part separation and get really, really into it, which I think is freaking cool. I'm not brave enough to do that with mine. Maybe with one of the ones I have more duplicates of. But yeah, it is an artifact in your mind. Just a quick diversion, a little simple kit, and you don't really care to have all these tips and tricks and details and things, and just want to see somebody slapping it together. And or is the painting the part that you're really looking forward to? Because I can see that being the thing. These aren't exactly the most, from a parts count perspective. You don't have 10, 12 sprues and that RG or MGs or P, whatever, however many million sprues the PGs have, master grades and perfect grades. I mean, I have no idea. I just know there are a lot. I just kind of look at the high grades and see a bit of equivalency as far as the part count goes, but the detail seems to be a whole lot higher. I guess that's the next step up, the real grade. But I don't know. I think that for me, the idea of treating these the same as I would any other model kit I have just is right. It's the right thing for me. And I like the idea of getting everything just so. And and if it takes 100 hours for one kit to do it at that level, that's great. That's longevity of the hobby, isn't it? Gives me plenty of time for very little money spent. Now, 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours to build one of these, I think is a great deal. Even if you're not painting it or anything like that, just chilling and snapping plastic together. That's for the price is still a great deal. Okay. There's imperfection here quite a bit. Soft molding, soft edge. That's going to need attention. That's a bummer. Wow, yeah. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. And you know what? I think I will go ahead and make the C-clips for this foot and the kneecap on stream here so we can see how that would be done. So we'll put, nope. No, we're just going to stick them together. They're going to come apart anyway. There's that. And is this the one? Nope, this is the one. Okay, so our clip foot here, let's go ahead and attach that and grab my trusty Sharpie. So looking at how this goes in, we'll be cutting that, and that, and that. And do the large cuts with the clippers. And there we go. Do a bit of sanding. And then taking the knife and cutting off just the edge of these bits here. Just a little bit. So it fits a little better. And test fit. There we go. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. So now we'll do our filing down of everything before I forget. And then we'll get on to the kneecap. And that's going to be a little more finicky, I think. Okay. It's going to be finicky just because it's a tiny little piece. A little kneecap. Let's get it cleaned up first. All right, and we have to remember to not get rid of that little piece. So it's going to be about damn it. Hold on, folks. That was a big problem. We are going to have to go searching for a part. Give me just a moment. Boy, I hope that didn't go flying way over onto my bed. I didn't hear it fall on the floor. Is this it here? This is it here. Okay. Thank God for clean floors. Let's leave this on the table. And because this is so small, we're going to use our knife. And carefully cut. There. And then trim. Now I am cognizant that I'm cutting towards my hand, but I also have my fingernail in the way. And the very, very, very light pressure I'm exerting, there is not a problem. These fingernails make great shields against hobby knives, especially when you're being careful. Okay, now let's go ahead and get this oriented correctly. If I can even, here we are. And gracious, where are my big tweezers? The big fat ones. All right. And then, oh my gosh. These little pieces. But this is why we do it, my friends. Right? To have the pride of having made a very small, very detailed, very precise little kit. Okay, and plop, and pulls out, go. Oh, well, okay, that tab gets in the way. Let's see if we can do this when it's actually together. That may have all been for naught, folks. May have been a lovely idea. But okay, nope. Don't do that. That's not kosher. Not worth it. You'll break your part. Knife. Yeah, we don't want to do that. So we're just going to put it in and deal with it as best we can as it is. At least we know it's not coming out. And then our foot, clippy clip. Well, boo. There we are. And if you just happen to make a bit of too much of a cut on your clip, remember that you can always glue it in, some black super glue or just super glue up in that join after you've painted everything, and you won't see a thing. Just make sure that there's no fumes. So cyanoacrylate can leave fume marks on things as it cures. That's something to be aware of. And also here, there are sink marks on this bit, so it could use a bit of sanding. But otherwise, it's easy as pie. There we go. What is it that they say in Cockney? Bob's your uncle? 2 legs done. And They're lovely legs, very slender, yet powerful. And then we get to the gun. So parts 52, 53, 54. 52, 53. On sprue C. $54. $54. Okay, so 52, 53, 54 are all on sprue C. And again, we are going to be cognizant of part stress when cutting these out. So we're going to do our barrel first. It's a thin bit. And like many of the others, this has peg holes that the peg on the other side goes through. Wow, it's windy outside. There we go. And just going to do a little inspection here. So I'm not going to sand these marks off yet, but I am going to give this a bit of a touch here. This peg, then this peg you want to keep. Don't mess with them. You get some attention though. There's a nice big mold line running right through the middle of this, right here. But it's a lovely flat surface, easy to clean. But that also means that it propagates down through here, which is not so easy to clean. All right, and we're going to take this side again too. Do the same. Nope, those are things there. Why am I doing this? To make sure that it's smooth when being attached and that any little mold imperfections, injection problems are taken care of. And then we're going to go through and sand down the nub marks. Okay, I'm going to do this one because there's no adjoining piece. So let's look at this first. So here and here and up in here, that's parts you're going to want to take your sanding stick to first, just to get your mold lines out of the way, because you're not going to be able to access them once you've got it attached. And all the way up. And it's not taking much. It's pretty clean. And it's also the thicker part of the gun, so we can more comfortably sand. I am less comfortable sanding the barrel portion when it's still in halves. All right, now that goes there. This goes there. That goes there. So this one and this one we can file down. The others, no. And there's a lot of texture, molded lines in here. So that's the place you don't want to be getting a lot of glue splooge and ruin your details. Yeah, because it's molded all the way up through the rim here, so you would have to go and cut all that out. That whole bit there, if you wanted to get rid of it. And the same thing here, which I suppose you could do if you really wanted. But it looks neat. So why get rid of it? Okay, and then we're pushing. And then gently. All right, so the barrel of this gun is molded in an X. So there's a divot here. There's a line running down the middle there and the middle there. I'm assuming it's intended. So as far as gluing is concerned, I would, oh gosh, what size is that? That's a 0.4. That's roughly a 0.4 mil line down. And you're going to want to be careful about that. But sanding it and then gluing it and scribing it down is probably your best way to get the most part security, because it's so thin. You'll get you'll get more structural integrity with that glue in there. So it could be worth the effort from a structural standpoint. And looking at it down the barrel, the alignment on this piece is surprisingly good. There's a little bit of a lip on one side, but that's mostly just flash from the molding and not misalignment between the parts. So this is one of the better guns that I've come across so far. But also there is a lot of fine detail, meaning it's not very deep and is easy to scrape or sand off. So just be aware. But that's your pro tip for today. On parts like this, where you have nub marks that are going to be in this close to each other, just wait until you've stuck it together to sand them down. You get more rigidity of the part, and it looks better. It's easier. All right, here's the back of the gun, and that's pretty badly molded. So we're gonna scrape that a bit. It's not so bad that you're gonna really ruin the piece by doing it. But sanding alone would take a bit of time, so just scrape it down and you'll be fine. And then, where's my good? There we go. Then just sand it down. All right, here we are. Easy peasy. And since there is a sprue connection there, you might as well just take a moment and get it all done at once, right? There we are. Mold lines. Thankfully, they're flat surfaces. Okay, here, there's a mold line up on top of this. So be careful. It's not anything the sandpaper won't do. You don't have to scrape that one. Just some sandpaper. And you're in good shape. And we'll get this sorted. Give it a little bit of a scrape while we're here. And done. Now this guy goes in here. There's a tab right here on this end of it, and a slot right there. And there's a nice deep hole. So I don't think we're not going to need to trim this down unless I already did. Maybe I already did. But it goes like so. Here we are. Nice gun with some nice detail. And also some things that are going to need to be sanded down. For those of you who are familiar with Warhammer, I guess, you got plasma guns, plasma coils. You could do some neat glow effects in here if you really wanted to get fancy. But yeah, that's a good gun. I really like that gun. And now we're on to the right arm. So part 40, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47. So 42 through 47. Not all of them are on that sprue. They're spread out across all three C, A, and D. So 42 and 43 are on A. 44, 44, right? Yep, 44 is on D. Ooh, and there's a nice gate for that. Thank you, designer. Not all of these parts have that, unfortunately. Okay, 44, 45, also on D. Okay. And then we're on to sprue C, 46. Now this is a one-piece shield, so you can be a little careful with it if you want. 46, 47. And that's this guy right here. "42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Alrighty. So let's look at our shoulders first. Get these unchecked. Here we are. So 44, 45 are our arm bits. And these are lovely arms. They've got some nice big fat molded detail in them. They're generally smooth. There's a little bit of sinkage. But for the most part, they're great. There is another tab up here to hold it in place. Probably going to remove that. And the way they put these connections to the sprue are generally pretty good for this part, because that's a nice flat surface we can just sand off. And why am I doing this one and not the other? It's because there's not one. There's a little bit of a mess on the molding here. So while we've got the sandpaper out, we'll just do a quick touch, because some of these areas are going to be hard to get to. That's That one's pretty bad. This part especially, that was a bad mold. And it goes up against here. So you're not going to be able to get to it once you've attached them. So also think about that. Here we go. No pegs sticking through, so we'll give these a quick file down. And also a little bit of a sand. Just to smooth out those connections a little. We're not going too hot and heavy with it. Just making it a little bit nicer. Maybe prevent some gaps. Here we go. All right. And together they are. Together they go. Let's see. Yeah, not bad for the most part. The pegs need to be brought down a little bit more. This here, looking at it, not too bad. You're definitely going to want to fill that gap though. Same thing there. Just be aware that on this one there are molds. This is an indent. Where's mine? There we go. So smooth that out a little bit. Hit that. Oh, maybe you can see that better. Yeah, see now there are parts you don't want to be messing up on this side. And then down in here, there's a divot that you'll need to clean. And watch out for the glue there. And the same thing up underneath here. That's not an easy spot to clean. So careful with your glue splooge. And then here. So unless you're one of those folks with a lot of very fine and high quality chisels and spin blades and scribing tools, I would be very careful about using cyanoacrylate in there to fill your gaps. They're not going to be easy to clean out, unless of course you have all those tools. Okay, and then big peg, big hole, small hole. We're not worried about sanding them down yet. We're just concerned about being able to get them in the arm. And they are not. So maybe we should treat them to a bit of modification. Okay, let's see how that worked. Big, small. That was better. There we go. Now careful when you're pushing. I almost snapped that connection point. So that's that. The arm is done. Yeah, we give our shield a bit of a sand bath. And this thing is chock full of detail. Absolutely bonkers. However, it's also very thin. So if you do decide to rescribe, be very careful. Where is my... What size is this? That's the 0.2. So most of these ones that you can probably see on the camera, like here, are already 0.2 size or very close to it. So just a couple passes. So they might be 0.15 or they could be 0.2 but beveled. Just a few passes to smooth it out. Widen the hole or widen the line a little bit, but not actually dig down into the part, because you're very likely to just go right through it, which I'm trying to remind myself of right now. So you'll feel once you're done. So these are beveled. And you're basically just straightening the edges. And you'll feel it when your tool just slides through easily. God, that sound is so adult. So maybe just lightly take your scribe and just even out the bottoms. And the same thing on the back end. Now the issue with the back end is there are a bunch of injection mold artifact that are going to be difficult to remove. So maybe scraping is your best bet to get rid of those. Because if you're not careful and you try and go to fill them, I could see very easily accidentally filling in some of these intended details. Or, because it's a shield that's going to be up against an arm, you can completely ignore it. That is also a viable option. We'll see how sanding does real quick. Okay, sanding is not great because it's not a flat surface. But it might just take the worst of it away. So let's go ahead and do that on this one and see how it compares to the other one I'm working on. And remember to clean out your sandpaper every once in a while, get that dust out of it so it doesn't get too full. Yeah, that's better. I don't think there's really a good way to get rid of it. Hopefully painting, priming, will just make that go away and make it look like it's kind of another piece in there. And then that goes, there's a tab right here. So looking at the shield, if this is 12 o'clock, that's about 2 o'clock. There's a slot, excuse me, and then a little tab here. And we are going to give this peg a bit of a sand down, file down modification. Okay. And then a scrape. Why am I doing this? It's because I want to make sure that the tab at the base of this peg makes it into the slot on the shield. It's not absolutely essential, but it does make sure that the orientation is as intended and maybe make things a little bit easier to deal with in the future. Okay, now there we go. Look at that. Lovely. Lovely piece. And a little bit more sandpaper. And there's really no good way to avoid the sprue marks, the stress marks on these, the sprue and the piece met. So you just have to either sand it down and paint it, or sand it down and deal with the discoloration. Thankfully, it's not too bad. All right, let's get you back on there. Looks like the Millennium Falcon. All right. Now U pieces here. All right. So looking at these shoulder pieces, here there is a rim and a depression. That's intended. That's not a mismold because it matches on both sides. The alignment's not too terrible, but another depression detail with, oh Lord, that's two details in one. So we're going to have to be really careful with the glue on this. And equally careful with the scraping and sanding. All right. And yes, I do know I am sanding these individually. We're going to hit this again real quick once they're together. Or you can wait until you've glued them and are smoothing things out at that point. Sometimes it's more effective to do both. And that's a pretty bad mark. There. Okay. Now, there is our peg, and there is our slot for the tab at the connection point. So we're going to file this down. If I recall, the other one wasn't too bad to put in, but I'm not going to chance it. I've had enough of my patience being tested today. So we're just going to do our file and scrape routine. Our version of Song and Dance. So looking at it here, the shield clearly goes on the outside. There is that beautiful new style peg for the arm. And you go like so. Yeah. Yeah. And there. Alternatively, you can be a bit wiser and maybe drill this out if you have small drills bits big enough. But I hesitate to do that. I hesitate to do anything that will make the connection weaker. This ABS plastic is so soft. And I don't want, there we are. I would not want to do anything that would cause an issue. Okay, now here's a point that this arm, this outs, you want to sand that down. Here we go. Yep. So what's happening is this part is rubbing up against this part and is not, the connection is not fitting 100% right. So we're going to sand that down a little bit. Got the 400 grit out. And are you gonna, we're gonna have to file you gently. That should be enough. It wasn't a very big problem. And we go back in. There we go, nice and smooth. And plunk. Snapped in like a champ. Take the other side of the shoulder. Plug it in. And take our sandpaper. touch those places. Okay, so here's an argument for C-clipping this, even if you're not going to be painting it, because up in here, these parts don't fit very well together and are going to need to be gap filled. There's a pretty big gap, but there's no way in the world you're going to be able to clean that with the arm in the way. So C-clipping this arm may be a good idea regardless of what you're doing. In fact, I would highly suggest it, because there's also this area here. Yeah, and with that shield in the way and everything, it's going to be really, really difficult to get cleaned up. But there's the arm. Lovely. Now we get to go to these 8, 9, and 10. Easiest step in the build. I don't know what these are, but they're pretty cool. Are they fuel tanks? Does this transform into something? Or are they just ammunition storage? Clear sprue! Done. Okay. Eight is on sprue B. All right. Let's give that a nice scrape down. This is one of the nicest pieces to clean in the entire kit. Big flat panels, nice thick pieces. Easy peasy to just squeeze out. Okay, now looking at here, there were two things to consider. 4 pegs. This peg is offset from this one. This one's down further towards the edge than this. That's how you know which part will go which, and if you take them out of order. And also there are tabs on both sides of all of these pegs. There's no slots in here. Those are just to keep them at the proper distance. So feel free to slim those down a bit if you so choose. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to hit these nub marks real quick. And this does have a bit of mismolding and a lot of texture. I don't know why that's there. I believe it's an artifact of molding, and just it's a lot like orange peeling when airbrushing. So you may want to just sand that down. Or use a use a primer that'll a surfacer, I guess, like Mr. Surfacer or something at a high enough grit will fill that in. Oh, that's almost done. But then you'd have to go sand it again. And that being said, there are enough sinkholes in this kit that maybe going that far is a good idea. All right, so those are done. These are pretty much set. I need to give it just a touch. There we are. Yeah. Okay. Now, you go there. And you go there. It's worth trimming those pegs down a bit. And even taking your time to sand the bottom of this so that they fit nice and snug. As easy as these outward edges might be to clean up, this inside is going to be not as easy, even with one piece in. So be aware of that. But there's that nice piece there. And now we get into the fun stuff. All right. 4, 1, 2, 3 are staying on the sprue. That's the head. 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13. Did I forget something? I totally did. I forgot 48 and 49. I forgot the shoulders on the other arm. So let's go back and do that right quick. Give it just a touch. And I tell you, I cannot wait to get into the detail build portions of these. The 60-minute mission, because I can see things on here that need to be fixed, and I want to fix it. $51 and $50. How the heck did I just totally missed that entire step. Wow. $51 and $50. I guess I got so excited about the shield arm and the gun being done that I forgot about the rest of it. But I was waxing poetic about being excited for the detail build portions of these. This is what I might call speed build, where I can really get in and make sure everything is nice and smooth and set, because it kind of hurts me a little to go through and ignore some of these things that I know could be fixed, but it would make these streams so long and really not useful as build guides, tutorials, if you would call them that. I'm not. Which is kind of why I decided to go ahead and just do these first and take them apart. Okay. Doodaloo. Those pegs are pretty far in. But we'll give it a little bit of a sand, because these are nice wide panels. Okay, anything to be aware of? We're going to do a little bit of sanding on this just in case. Just in case we have a situation like the other arm. Where's the 400? There we go. Cut that down pretty good. Give that a quick file. And it's tax season here in the US. And I swear, file your taxes, file your taxes. So many companies trying to get you to use their online tax filing. All right, so part goes together like so. Pretty standard. And then we're going to put it in the arm, in the shoulder, before putting the gun on it, just to make sure there are no issues. Do I need to trim you down? And no, I'm not cutting, I'm scraping. All right. Here. Hopefully a bit better now. So we really don't want to be messing with that clip. Although, I suppose if we do break that, we can fill this with some sort of putty and just use a paper clip, drill a peg. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, let's go. Don't make me call the police. Here we go. And in. And that's probably never coming out. So, yeah. We'll see when I do the do the final assembly detail build on this. I may end up just snipping that and using metal. You know what? I'm probably going to end up doing that anyway because there's a nice, even without the filing, there is a big gap between there. And I didn't take too much off. That's easily broken. So for a game piece, yeah, cutting that, filling the hole with a nice putty, and using a pin vise to make a peg connection with the metal would be the wise option. And then we push the gun in, and there we are. And the arm has gaps. I didn't take much time to fix that. It was probably going to be fixable just by sanding the pegs down. But who knows? And that's absolutely something you're going to want to take care of before putting it in the arm. Now, if you're only using these for display, you could do your C-clip and have no problem with that. Okay, now we're going back to the body. 4, 5, 6, 7. Seven is over here on sprue D. And little tiny bits. Careful with that. This one's got some mold line issues. So be careful with it. And thankfully that connection point was on the peg. So we can just file it down. Woo, lucky us. Okay. 6 is the back. You're over here on B. And 11, 12, and 13 as well. So this is 12. $11. And while I've got this sprue in my hand, $5 is right here near the head. It took me forever to find it. I expected it to be slightly bigger, but it's not. It's a head size piece. The crest on this head is much thinner than the other ones. So when you're doing your work, be careful on that. That's a break hazard right there. Easy piece to screw up. All right, that's 13. Have I missed anything? 4, 11, 12, 13, 6, and I don't think I have the head. All right. As I said before, earlier in the stream, now is the time to do all of your work to part 5. It's so small and fits in so snugly that it's very difficult to remove. So take your time now and get it done. And it has a little itty bitty molded piece. Molded detail, but it also has what look to be some sink spots next to it. So your choice. It's probably easier to re-scribe. I'm just okay. I was afraid that. Here we go. Probably easier to re-scribe that or just forget about it in general in order to have a smooth piece. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I am really pushing my luck today with these little bits. Thankfully, we're almost done. All right. There we go. Here we are. And we're going to push our luck even more. Hold it over the table and file it down. And I've gotten my fingers over the actual part to protect it from getting hit by the file. And then it plugs in here. So is there anything that needs to be addressed while this is exposed? Give it a little bit of a touch. Just to be safe. And we take our glue. Get a little bit of a coat in there. And on here. Not too much though. It's a pretty snug fit. And it goes in what looks to be upside down. It fits right over there. Okay. Now I'm going to take my glue here. Just a little bit. Let it sit. And we're not pushing very hard. Not trying to smush the glue out. Just trying to get a good solid connection. Here we go. And there is a line panel line. Point of separation there. I believe that's intended. It looks like a design element. So part 5 done. Yeah. So then we go. Let's go ahead and do 6, which is the back. The head is just a straight peg down the neck. So we don't have to worry about a tongue and groove join here, which is always nice when it comes to the heads on these things. Why do I feel like this is the end boss of this phase? You know, we had the full armor. At first, it was very straightforward, simple from a parts perspective. And then the Gym and the Domtropin got a little bit more complicated. Oh, the Domtropin was pretty simple. The Zaku was fairly straightforward if you don't count the little tiny pieces we ignored. And now this. It's like going from your tutorial to level 1, 2, and then the final boss of the game. This is a pretty hefty build, but it is such a cool model. Like the Nightingale. Was that the last build? No, the Byerland Custom was the last one on phase 1. All right, looking at the instructions, it just goes straight in. Let's look at the parts. Anything we need to be aware of? No. They just go straight in. Boom, boom, boom. Easy as you please. We will just do a little bit of cleanup there. There are quite a bit of gaps, but given how everything's going to be going on the back, I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. But again, you detail folks, that is something to consider. Maybe putting a lot of CA glue along there, and before you insert it, maybe some what? You could get a fair amount of Mr. Surfacer down in there. It wouldn't be too hard to clean as long as you even these things out. Or you could just go full try hard and hard mode and do it anyway. Okay, so that, and now 12 and 13. We're going to give this a little bit of a filing down. And these pieces are thin and they're mirror images, so I'm going to just do the sprue mark sanding while they're together. There and there. Yeah, okay. That's going to need further modification. But it's a straightforward piece as long as you make sure that everything is smooth. Only when you do your connection, you've slimmed down your peg. Oh, I'm going to have to. No. Okay. So this part on the front end has a sculpted relief detail. Another one of those things where you could put a photo etched part or colored part. That's going to be a pain to clean, so be careful with that. It's shaped irregularly, like a elongated diamond. So scraping that clean is going to be not as fun as it may sound. And then we'll just hit this real quick. Get these generally done. And these pegs aren't very long, so we'll just give them a little bit of a sand instead of a filing. All right. So there we go. There we go. In and flush. Very nice. Part 5 goes in like a bird's head, like that. Not upside down. It would look rather masculine if you take my meaning. There. These have a nice long depression, a depression, but also a nice long panel line to scribe. That's a really nice detail in there. So maybe you could do a panel line there too to kind of make it match, but doesn't look like that's the kind of part that would have that. It looks more like I don't know, the nose of an aircraft. All right, that's 5, 11, 12, 13. Head is taken care of, 6. And now we take our part 7 that we've already done most of our work with. Except here, there's a sprue connection there. So I'm gently cutting it away. Yeah. Stick your nail underneath it to support it while you're doing that if you can. It's a very delicate piece. And then this just needs a good scraping. Okay. So here we are. There. Nice. Nicely detailed piece. And then we have our legs in 26, 27, 28, 29. The things we do for content. '26, '27. This thing has so many guns. I swear, is that why it's the Assault Buster? It breaks into places. It's like Neo and Trinity in the Matrix when they're getting into that hotel lobby, just pulling guns out of everywhere. And for those of you who don't get that reference, uh, it's a sci-fi movie with the same guy who plays John Wick in it. Keanu Reeves. And if you haven't seen The Matrix, Matrix 1, I can always recommend the first one. Not always recommend the second and third. But the first one was worth seeing. It was groundbreaking. All right, there's 28 and 26. So 28 goes on this side. And this is not going to get stored with these on it, so I will not be messing with the details too much on these, the sanding and things like that. They're going to go in a box, as is the head. So while I'm doing this, for those of you who are wondering how I handle all this stuff, that's how. So now we have everything wrapped around. Don't have to worry about parts breaking or getting lost. Now, okay, this is 26. This goes over here. Here we are. Here we are. Up and the legs. The legs had to go first. Of course. All right. So our face forward. Put our leg in. Careful with the feet. So there is a tab and a slot to make sure that you've got it oriented correctly. And did I? Okay. Okay, there we go. And back in. Are you the correct one? All right, so here's how you can tell the front and back between these. The front has a tiny little divot, a molded circle. It's intended to be like that, like right there. So that's how you can tell which goes in which direction. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. Oh my gosh. Maybe I should have just, no. Should not have done, there we go. Okay. There. And then the guns, the slot goes up and down. And we want it facing downward, so that's how we know. There we go. Nice piece, nice piece. There. Now we do the backpack, which is all the remaining parts. 37, 36, 35, 34, 34 through 41. Everything else to make the canon. And forgive me, folks, I am starting to get a little bit tired. Fatigued. It's been 2 hours and 17 minutes already. Wow. Someone just messaged. Who is that? All right. And again, this is another case of very thin barrel, so snap that out first. And it also has slots, pegs and slots to fill in. So don't be messing with those. Clear sprue, in you go. $34. 35 and 36 is tiny. Be careful. 37 as well. All right, so this should only be these wings left, and if you will give me a moment, I'll be back shortly. We're in the home stretch, guys. We are almost there. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the gun together. And without any modification, that fits together very nicely. Now we can do our sprue removal. Boop, 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 boop. Anything to be aware of here other than those tabs? Not really. That's a straightforward piece of work. Okay, and then 35, 36, 34. Okay. 35 has one tab peg. 34 has two pegs. Easy to tell apart. Oh, come on. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. You, my dear, are getting the blade. And a bit of sanding there. And you get the file. All right, now let's look at this. There is a mold line running straight through the middle of this entire thing. So it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and smooth that out before you put the thruster on, if you can hold it in place. I think I've held fish that are easier to keep a grip on than some of these little pieces. All right. We're pulling out the blade. This is not, the mold line itself isn't bad. It's just this piece is so darn small. It is kind of tricky to work with. Okay, there we are. Now let's do the same to the thruster. Thankfully, it's round, so it just needs a little bit of sanding. Nothing too terribly hard. And that. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just put that in there right now so it doesn't get lost. Or if it goes flying on the floor, it's a bigger piece to see and is not round and go rolling everywhere. Should I just glue this right now? No. No. But I do need to slim this down a little bit. All right, cross our fingers and hope it goes. Gonna keep that over the table. Oh, good Lord. Now, let's see. Try again. Try again from the other direction. This time with feeling. Well, now my nails are getting in the way. We've got our blooper reel of me trying to get this piece of junk together. Here we are. There we are. Good. Now, that's that. 34, 35, go on either side of it. Let's take a look. Is that you? Like so. And like So really? Is that how you go? Yep. Here we are. Okay. So that's a flat line. There's no connection, no peg to go on it like there are for hands and arms. It's just a straight push in and like that. There we go. So there's the whole assembly. It's easy to get these misaligned. You might have to do a little bit of work to get them fully aligned. But as long as you're careful about not getting glue up in this area here, it's not too bad to clean. This is your hardest section here, and they're 2 mils. So a 2 mil scraper will easily get that done. Okay. Now we're taking 38 and 39 and push fitting them together. Easy as pie. Give it a little bit of a sand. There is detail up here on top, so be careful when you're cleaning up your sprue mark not to take it down too far. And the same thing with the mold line. Just maybe gentle scraping would be a better option than the sandpaper. Yeah, it is. All right. We're looking good there. Now, looking at it, it would not be a bad idea to clean these individually before sticking them together. Because anytime there's one of these little piston things, there's always a mold line up on the inside of it. It's just the rule of the world. No matter who makes the kit, there's always a mold line. All right, that's enough. So now we have our part and 2 tabs. I mean, 2 slots, 2 tabs on both of them. Really? Are we missing something here? There's that. Is that just how? Oh, I see. I know. Okay. I know why. Okay. So the thruster goes down. And we orient it like so. There we go. The same thing with the cannon. It goes in like that. Then we have our wings. 33, 32, 30, and 31, but they go... you don't assemble them first. They go through these clips on the shoulders, on the back. Boy, this is a long one today. We're almost done. Just a few more clips, a few more pinches and squeezes, and we're done with phase 2. I can't believe it. I guess that's what doing one build a day will get for you. And then it's onto the hot pink Gouf Flight Type. It's this color. It's even brighter. It's like 1980s Trapper Keeper glow in the dark pink. Maybe I should paint that in a synthwave scheme. Get some Miami Vice going. In the container. You're done. All right. Now I would recommend putting the wings in first. Why would you say that, Phil? So you can actually pinch them without a cannon thing in the way? All right, so looking at these, there is detail all the way up in here, and that's another area where you could do a neat glow effect. Otherwise, pretty standard, but a lot of detail. So again, if you're going to go through and scribe these things, do it before you glue. Not only will that keep you from breaking this, it'll also keep you from going through, accidentally going through the part. Okay, and then looking at these pieces, did I put these in the wrong order? No, I didn't. There is the tiniest of tiny little points there, like that goes around up in there. It's like it's so small that you'll probably just break the piece while putting it together. All right, now here we go. Boop, 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 boop. In there. In there. And there, of course, the shield came off. Of course. And in, well, we're just gonna, the shield can deal. You just go back on there. Please. Just so I can say I've finished. Thank you. And there we are. A completed version 2 Assault Buster Gundam Artifact and the end of Phase 2. This kit is so nice. So nice. It's so easy to see why everybody paints this. And whoever paints this with only an airbrush and tons and tons and tons of masking, you are absolutely insane. But this is an ideal candidate for hand brushing. Give it a nice good, maybe 1 or 2 coats with the airbrush when some masking, but the rest of it hand brushing all the way. Yeah, that's just a beautiful kit. And let's take out that guy there. They look pretty neat together. This one's slightly more delicate in appearance. And oh my gosh. Look how small. Well, it's because the Nightingale's shoulders go huge. It's like big brother sister say, Mom, little brother's following me, trying to play with me. Let him play with you. Don't kick him out. Yeah, these are done, and others again are safely boxed away, are getting organized. We want to put that in a safe place. And that in a safe place. And this, while we're thinking about it, see, there's the pink with the Gouf pink, which we'll see later. This Gouf build is intense. So there are already a number of parts on this that I would strongly suggest gluing during assembly. So expect this one to take longer. I may have to take 2, possibly even 3 sessions, do it in hour bits instead of 3-hour marathons like this one, to do this justice, because this is one of my favorites of the entire product line, and I want to make sure I don't screw it up because I only have one, and that phase 3 was twice the price. I had to get that from a different vendor, and it was twice the price of the other ones. So do it once, do it right, don't do it twice. When it comes to that. But let's take a take a quick look. What do we have here? What's in here? What's in here? Oh, yes. It's the other Assault Buster. But we can put this box away now. Put you over here. And we'll show the lineup coming up next time. Can we just do this? There we are, the Gouf, the pink Gouf, the Zeta, the Quebbly, Starkjagen. Starkjagen's already had a fair bit of work done on it. And then the 00 Ryza. Which to me just looks like an extra fancy GM Thunderbolt. But I guess those are actually wings and there's a big nose. Is that from Gundam Wing? I don't know. But pretty cool. Old Quebbly gets to go with the Nightingale and Violent as the organic invading aliens. And then three Gundams and only one. Boo. Boo. It's a good thing Phase 4 has 2 Zeons. 2, possibly 3 Zeon kits in it. So yes, that's very nice. But I have been Phil, the miniature model maker, coming to you today, finishing off Gundam Artifact Phase 2 with the Assault Buster Gundam. Moving on to Phase 3 next. And thank you very, very much for watching. If you've gone all the way through these 2 hours and 48 minutes, I do hope you're either sleeping or are modeling along with me, maybe on a long drive. But thank you so very much for watching. And please hit that like button. It would be nice to have more people coming in and seeing this. And remember that this is a hobby. If it doesn't bring you joy, don't do it. Be good to yourselves. Bye-bye.